If, they can't afford it, then I have contractors that'll get paid out of escrow. They're just like, when it closes, pay me. And that's how we get the work done ahead of time when, because you get a lot of people that are cash poor and house rich.
Yeah. And your pricing for houses is much different than mine.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at, that I said 83,000 in the solar, the house was only worth 280,000.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Cynthia Tant with Sip, Sell, Repeat Real Estate here in Pensacola, Florida. And I am so excited to introduce all of you to Cheryl Coleman over in California. Different worlds right now. And Cheryl, she's a founder and a team leader of the Cheryl Coleman Team at Keller Williams and in Huntington Beach, California. So her career seems to span almost as long as mine. Actually, I'm at 3 decades. You're at 2. All right, 2 decades, and has become one of Orange County's most trusted real estate professionals. Before launching her real estate career, though, and her team, she had extensive background in marketing and sales leadership. And we're going to talk about that international that you were involved in, too. I think the ladies here would be very interested to talk about a little bit about that, but also about your marketing and your sales background and what brought you into real estate. So Cheryl, first off, welcome to Sip, Sell, Repeat.
Thank you.
Where would you like to get started? Do you want to tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into this lovely career?
Sure. And I would tell you, I took my glasses off because the window's open and I am in my mountain house today.
That's right.
So I am fortunate in California. You can be at the beach and you can be at the mountains in an hour and a half. So I have a home at the beach and a home in the mountains. And it's totally a different world up here and quiet. You just hear birds singing. It's a nice, quiet place to do this. In college, there was a real estate class and I needed some extra credits. So I took it and I ended up buying my first house when I was 17 years old. And I bought it on a land deal, which they don't really have now. But
Yeah.
what it meant was I would buy this house and the owner would still be on title. But if I paid the mortgage for a year, then it would be mine. And so I was off to the races. But in college, I really loved sales and marketing and got a business degree and went on to some big corporate jobs where I was like vice president and traveled the world. And so I really held my real estate license for me. And then when I moved to California, which was to come out here to open medical centers, I just thought I couldn't find a good realtor to sell me a house. They don't know marketing. They don't follow up. They're bringing me flowers, but I don't want flowers. I want a house. And I thought, gosh, why don't I get into real estate? And then my dad called from Gulfport, Mississippi, because they had retired.
Oh, wow.
From Gulfport. I was
Near
from-
us. Yeah, not too far away.
They actually met in World War II in Gulfport. My mom was from New Orleans and my dad from Virginia. And I was living in Virginia. And so I moved from Virginia to California. But when they called and said, come get us, I said, I need flexibility. And since I can't find a good realtor, why don't I be a good realtor? And
You were off to the races.
I pinched myself because I literally had no sphere of influence in California. And it just went crazy. I love what I do. And a lot of our work is with seniors because when my dad called and said, come get us, that was a big deal. When your parents call and say, come move us to wherever.
Uh-huh.
And I had to take off work and I had to figure out they couldn't go to my house because I have a tri-level and I had to learn assisted living. And I got to know trust lawyers and all the different kind of livings for seniors. And I learned so much, but had to do so much that I said to my team, we're going to help seniors and we're not going to charge them. So we do a lot of things for seniors and their families for free. And I'll tell you, their families are the most grateful people
Yeah.
that we have. Especially if their kids live out of the area.
Yeah.
And just take over everything for them. We're in the process. We have 3 families right now we're doing it for. And they're just so grateful. It's just, and I know what
Well,
they've been through, so I love helping them.
have you found, and I know that I don't emphasize the seniors yet, but my mother is 94, and fortunate enough, my brother is her caretaker. But I've seen so many times when I've gone to people's homes here for a listing, like I have 4 right now of seniors who one spouse or the other has passed, or the children who are they're in their 50s, 60s, uh, don't know what to do with the house. So I haven't really dealt more into that, but I get so frustrated with sometimes the people that they are working with are not above board. Is that a nice way to say
Yes.
not honest? And solar is like killing people here. Literally, someone signed a $83,000 lease on solar panels they did not need and now cannot sell their house because it's a lease and they don't have that kind of money to pay it off. I feel terrible that they got screwed. And that contract, it's like ironclad. They can't even get out of it.
Yeah.
So since you're dealing more, let's go into that a little bit more. What are some of the things that maybe you have seen, like myself, that we can spot ahead of? I don't know if we can spot them ahead of time,
You
but that we
can.
can. Okay,
Yeah.
what would be
And
something like
that
that?
is one
Help.
thing that I do. Because solar's a beautiful, because seniors are so taken advantage of, we pull a prelim ahead of time. So if I'm going on a listing appointment, I get a property profile ahead of time. And then if I see something that seems odd, I go ahead and have my title company pull a prelim. And we run into solar all the time. And they didn't even know, why did you sell a solar system to a 92-year-old? That
Yeah.
could take 20 years to recover. And so that's one of the big ones we run into all the time. We've been able to negotiate or pay it off or do what we need to do. I just had one that was amazing because usually it's a solar company, but
Yeah.
I said, look at the panel box and tell me the name of it, because we couldn't find the company. And it turned out that just some random person bought solar panels off Amazon, had these people sign a purchase agreement, and then had them deducted from their bank account monthly. So this was a
my
solar company.
gosh.
Yeah. So solar's a big one. I work with a reputable solar company who helps me figure some of this stuff out. But in this case, luckily it was 20,000, which the home's 900,000. So that's not
So,
so bad.
right.
But so we just pay it off in escrow. We're closing that one tomorrow, but we knew
Yeah.
ahead of time. So I think the big mistake a lot of agents make is they sign this listing agreement
Yeah.
and they don't look into it. And then you go to escrow and things fall apart because something happened that nobody knew anything about. So we get all that information front. We look for permits,
Yeah.
the roof. We want to be able to answer those questions. We have one right now that the house is sliding down a hill, and they're like, it's been doing that for 22 years. It's not really a big deal. I looked at another one on the same street, and sure enough, fell out of escrow. And then it said cash only, lender will not do loans on this house. So
Yeah.
I got my foundation guy. One's already out. I got another one going out tomorrow. It looks like it's going to cost 20,000 to fix that problem. So why don't we fix it ahead of time? And so we don't run into that problem. And then if, they can't afford it, then I have contractors that'll get paid out of escrow. They're just like, when it closes, pay me. And that's how we get the work done ahead of time when, because you get a lot of people that are cash poor and house rich.
Yeah. And your pricing for houses is much different than mine.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at, that I said 83,000 in the solar, the house was only worth 280,000.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work. And
right.
they were distraught. And so I said, I can't even help you. But I like what you said as far as getting all the details up front. So as I know that we get into situations and you start asking the listing agent, what about this? What about that? Why didn't you figure this out in advance? So that the buyer, I primarily do listings myself also, but as a buyer's agent from a referral or something, and you go asking, it's like, why don't you know this information? So now you're doing each other's job, or you're doing their job, I should say.
Yeah.
Your own.
Yeah. And I always say you have a real estate team of agents, but you also have a team your title, your escrow. East Coast, a lot of times it's lawyers you're working with, but here we have
Yeah.
title and escrow
I,
who really
I do
help with
too.
title, especially.
Yeah.
You can look things up for you. I had the title company yesterday. I called them. I'm like, call the city and find out since this hill that's sliding, there's a major highway underneath it. Will they do anything? And they said no, but at least we know,
Least-
it's
Well, and that's so important for anyone listening and ladies here that we're giving information to, in a sense of whether just starting, what would be some of along this same theme and the use of teams? I think that's very important right now. Being a solo agent is so hard with as many plates that we have to turn during everything. What would be a couple of points of, or suggestions, I should say, for that new agent getting started as to how to maybe join a team, work with someone who's a good, a solid producer? What would be a couple things, since you are in the Keller Williams, which I know they do a lot of coursework and have a lot of teams and everything like that. What are some things that you'd like to address? A couple things to help us out.
when I started, there were no teams. And when teams came about, I was with a different company. I was number 3 out of 600 agents and the top female of those agents. And I went to the owner and I said, I'd like to have a team because my business is booming and I can't really be good at this on my own. And he said, I'll never forget, he said, Cheryl, I make my money off of individual agents. So unless the team is your husband, you can't have one.
Really?
So I went to Keller Williams and because they're all about teams. And
Right.
now, of course, more companies have followed
Right.
and allow teams. But if your business is that big, it stunts your growth. Being on I just wish when I had started, luckily I had a wonderful broker and mentor who taught me so much, but that is very rare to find. And if I had been able to join a team and follow a senior agent, that would have been so much easier on me. I remember my first year, I'll never forget this. I was sitting in my jacuzzi crying because I had gotten my first listing and an agent came up to me and said, you can't have that listing. That's my best friend. I don't know why she signed with. And me being stupidly nice said, okay, I'm sorry. And I look back at that and go, would I do that today? No. Why didn't
No.
I sign with you? But I didn't have a team leader to guide me. I was brand new. And even though I had my license on the East Coast and was buying for myself, I just found the culture on the West Coast was entirely different.
Different.
Competition was, people weren't helping each other. They weren't sharing. My boss told me they're really intimidated by you because you wear a suit and everybody's wearing flip-flops and flowered shirts. And so I brought this East Coast business-like mentality to a beach city.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to fit in, bring it down a notch. I still dress up, but not the full-on suit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure not going to wear flowered shirts and a flip-flop on a listing appointment. I'm sorry. I will never do that. But I love mentoring. I love watching my team succeed. I get excited when they get paid. I've got half of my team is in the top 10% in our company. Half of them will make over 6 figures. And the ones that don't, they're just not trying enough. So I've got a brand new kid. He's in his 20s and I love cold calling. I love door knocking. But then I looked at the scripts and I ripped them out because the script was knock on the door. Hi, I'm not here to sell you anything. And like, okay, so you're lying right from the beginning.
Yeah, right there.
Rip
Yeah.
that up. And here I'm going to give you scripts to say. So he is working and he's helping all the other agents with their calls. And he's motivating them. You got this young kid that says, I want to go out and door knock. Go with him. And it's actually bringing some new young blood in, has helped the older agents that start to get a little lazy.
Yeah. And
Let them go.
that's another great point to bring up, because the younger generation, I have a 21-year-old, he's at college right now, but he was doing all my social media, the reels, and he just followed me around with his phone all the time. This was during the summer. And the craziness is like one silly little thing that he did has 150,000 views. I said, this doesn't even make sense. And he just does everything on his phone. I go, can't do it. but the enthusiasm, and then he was saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I go, okay, I'm game. And so when you bring a team member on, so this person this young man who's come on, did he hear about you? How did you find him, or how did he join your team?
I'll tell you, some people oddly have seen me on podcasts like this and they
Yeah.
call out. That's why I do them. They call out
Yep.
to come and join your team. I
Mhm.
put everybody in a 3-month trial. I just had one that really didn't work out. The culture didn't fit in with our culture. But this kid, he saw me on an interview and he came up. He actually asked our boss, would it be all right to talk to her? Which always kills me because I'm
Yeah.
it's okay. I love talking to people, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I remember when I was just started, there were some agents I thought, oh wow, they're a big deal. And I pinch myself that I'm a big deal now. To me, I don't see it. But he came up and he saw, I saw your interview. I just love to be on your team. And when I saw how enthusiastic he was, because I don't typically take on brand new agents, but when someone says, I love cold calling, I love door knocking, I just want to be out there, he arrives at open houses more than an hour early to make sure the house is clean and looks.
Ready to go. That's
He
great.
does everything I tell the other agents to do, he just does. So aside from these really bad scripts that he got off the internet, I'm like, you're with Keller Williams. We have great scripts. Rip that stuff up. But aside from that, his energy, I said, this energy is going to be infectious.
And so what was his initial, since is he a college graduate and looking
He's in college.
in college?
right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
degree is in business, or?
It's in business, yeah. And he's also all the young. I love Facebook.
Yeah, right.
on Facebook all the time, but I have another 23-year-old on my team who's also just amazing. You don't typically
Instagram.
find this, but no, I have 2 in their 20s who are Instagram and
Right.
yes, doing posts and really getting stuff out there and loving doing.
I think and for those of the ladies that I know, we're the generation where, and probably NAR, I don't even know the current statistics. Wasn't it the average age of a realtor was a 55-year-old woman?
I
And
think it's 50 of a successful real estate.
Yes.
It seems to go up every year, and I think it's 56 now.
I think now has it moved
Yes.
up? Okay.
It's getting older, and it's females.
It is. Well, a thing that really because I own my own brokerage, and so it's more males have owned the management teams or the brokerages, in my experience. And then the females we are out there because we're the people. And we manage things differently. I honestly believe that. And how we relate to people, and we need to talk about families. I know managing the family and the kids, and you're out. I talked to a gal, and her son is with her all the time. He's going to learn that this is what we're doing. And so that also is a part of managing teams. And also, because a lot of times, and I'm sure you have experienced this in your career as a woman, you just get drained in this. I can't do this any longer. How do you get over that hump working with your teams to let everybody know that it is worth that future of what you're looking at? Even though we got some crazy stuff going on in the economy and everything right now. Yeah. We've been through those ups and downs in the past 20 years.
Yeah. In fact, I had one of the people on the team. I joined the team for opportunity. I'm not getting a lot of leads, and I went, opportunity. I go, the opportunity right now, it's the biggest you'll ever see, because a lot of agents are leaving the business because it's too hard. Because, you got to earn your commission now. Hello.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm like, you have more opportunity right now. We have open houses every weekend. We're giving.
I love
you
open
space.
houses.
Yeah. We meet so many people at open houses, but I'm supplying you with data. You getting Zillow leads. There's so many opportunities that you don't have the competition that you had even 3 months ago. We have a Friday broker meeting where all the agents come, and we're down to a third. People have they get lazy, they leave. And I'm like, hey, go.
Yeah.
Let the pros do the work that have been through the hard times and know what to do. And I just actually gave my whole team, here's what you need to do right now. And Gary Keller wrote a wonderful book, Shift. And it's basically, in a nutshell, do everything you've been doing times 10. So You've been calling 20 people every morning, call 40 people every morning. It's just, you've got to ramp things up, cut your expenses. Fortunately, I'm selling 2 more houses this week. We sell a house a week, but I'm cutting my expenses anyway because I don't know what the future is going to hold. So even though I can afford everything I'm doing right now, do I really need 10 park benches? Let's get rid of 3. So do I really need? So I'm looking at what do I really need? Let's cut it. So I do that I even look at my personal expenses. Like we'll call the cable companies and say, "Hey, we're quitting," and then they're, "Oh, we'll bring your price down." Or internet, or you're paying $60. We're quitting. Give us a retention department. We'll bring it down to $30. Okay, I do that
Yeah.
once a year too, or I have my husband do it. It's get your expenses down. Look at what you're paying. And I was an accountant back before.
Oh, okay.
So I'm numbers
Yes.
oriented where I really keep a spreadsheet of my expenses and my income and then look at what don't you need. Let's just prepare just in case. So it's definitely a shifting market where you've got to shift your mindset.
So when you make that mind shift because of the market, because again, if we go back and we look back in 2004 or 5 and the market was just stupid. For us, we had the hurricane, very destruction, very small supply, huge demand just for housing purposes. And then everything was taken off like crazy. And then we turn around, what, 2007, 2008, everything is crashing and burning. And so now we've got the foreclosures and the short sales. And then we do this kind of ups, kind of get out of control again. Yeah. I know it wasn't because a couple of years, what was it when it didn't matter what the house was listed at? They're paying 100,000 more and your firstborn child. And, now all those people, what, 2021, I think it was.
And we had the interest rate drop to
Yes, that's so
current.
dramatic.
So
Yeah.
I lowered all my homes. All of my mortgages are 2.5%. And look what that did to us. So the leasing market is out of control. We've just saturated. So it's hard to lease homes now because
Yeah.
so many people are hanging on to that 2.5% interest rate. They don't want to give that up. So you'll see that at least here, homes per lease are staying on the market forever, dropping. And now we're seeing some people, our inventory on sales going up. So it was easier to sell than lease, but now the market slowed down on sales because prices kept going up. And now buyers are pickier. Buyers are, that word I hate right now, the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen with this administration. Things can change daily. So prices are coming down, yet you'll have that one house that goes on the market with multiple offers and you don't know. It's just so unpredictable right now. I've never seen a market like this. And I can't project what's going to happen tomorrow. And okay, so the feds are going to meet the end of the month and maybe interest rates will go down. But then what does that do to people's retirement? Because they're
And then how do you present that? Because again, when I'm looking at some buyers and we want to wait till it goes down to 3% after the election, I said, it is not going to happen like that. Let's just get that out of your mind. And they just don't see it. I said, then continue to rent. But if we can get, but what about 6%? I said, maybe that may be the bottom. We don't know right now. And
we're in the high fives right now. Like VA, you could get in the high fives.
Yeah.
And you can, when now we're seeing the arms come back, where
I know
we can get you 3.9%, but look where that got us before. At least now you know what's going to happen in the future, and you got to be able to afford that. And that last crash, people were using their houses like bank accounts and just pulling money out. I remember I was a short sale queen of Orange County, and I'd go to people's houses and I'd look in their garage. And they were upside down in their mortgage, but they had 2 very expensive cars in the garage that they used when they pulled money out of their house, which was now underwater. So there was so much of that going on.
A lot of it too still comes back to financial education. It's not taught in the school. It's better these days. And you'll see these young people that are doing the stock market on their phones and they're doing this and everything like that. But, or the influencers, and they're seeing all these young people make all this money online. It's, come on, let's think about certain things here for stability purposes. But from a real estate standpoint, you said you got started when you were very young as a high school. It took me into my 30s before I started investing in real estate. And for women, I think that's an area that is very untapped, that we just need to have more experience and more people to share that experience. I did go in with my brother to manage and everything, or to buy the first set of properties, but now I'm on my own and with other teams, I guess you would say, investment teams. But how you got your first one, and then what I fortunately had a realtor who was an investor, a woman. She goes, "Let me show you how to do this." Brother's in DC. I'm a professor at a university, so we had money. And back then they allowed us to do 10 loans. So don't do that all at once, which we didn't know. We got it crazy. But when I tell people, I said during that time, I got 2 duplexes and a triplex for a total of $62,000 here, which you can't even get a driveway for that now. But still own
You
them.
can't even buy a boat dock in the mountains for that up there.
Yeah, I know. That was in 1994, but I kept them and rented them out. They're still around, fully paid for 20 times over. But today's market, especially in California, where do the people find those types of investment opportunities or desires, I should say?
We have another change. We have our landlord tenant laws are so tenant friendly.
Oh, yeah. It's different here.
Really tough on landlords. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things we're doing in our fourth quarter is looking at unhappy landlords. And
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about your fourth quarter. Yeah.
so that's a tough one. It's hard to be a landlord in California. Our tenant landlords are in the tenant's favor. And to try and evict somebody is next to impossible. Do I recommend buying right now in investment property in California? And I'm not
Mm.
putting.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the laws are going to simmer down, but they've just gotten stronger and stronger in the tenant's favor. And I see landlords go to court and where someone completely destroyed their house. I just had one. They completely destroyed their house, and the judge said to the landlord, "When were you at your house last?" He was paying the rent every month, so I
Yeah.
didn't on it. Then that's your fault. Guess what? You got to give them their deposit back. Like, I had one $100,000 worth of damage, called the insurance company. The insurance covered it, but still they lost in court. And I've had a couple like that. So
Yeah, our insurance is just terrible here in Florida. That's our biggest right now because of the hurricanes and the damages and everything like that. But yeah, I'm taking over. I had a really interesting discussion with another property manager that this is the first time that my guy that I managed his properties now for 4 years, he's gone with a different realtor to sell. I go, I didn't say this to him. I said, because you did a crappy job on his property management. I said, you've let people in there that have destroyed his property and expected him to pay for it. And I said, because this one right now that I'm getting ready to put on the market, when was the last time you were over there? Oh, about 6 months ago. I do property management and we do quarterly pest control. So we are in there every 3 months as a minimum. But we drive bys, we do things, and we're very in touch with the tenants, which helps us with our owners. But yeah, so
and I
now,
encourage my client, if you're going to buy it, get a property manager and get a good property manager. No, like, we don't want to pay that. We want to do it on our own. And
I know,
look,
do it on your own.
Look
Yeah,
at the money you save.
yeah. No, but Florida's very landlord friendly.
Well,
Not,
and that's what I'm trying. So we'll be talking because I'm trying to get my California people to sell and
oh, let me
buy
tell
in a
you,
landlord friendly
I've got-
state.
I've got some great, I was telling, we'll talk about this later
Yeah.
too, but just so that the ladies would like to know is I'm out showing my friends who have known for 25 years. We're looking at between $1 to $1.5 million homes on the beach. Now they're not right on the Gulf, but they're 1.2, 1.5 million. And they're homes, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. They're bringing in 100 to 200,000 rental income. That's a deal. In California, that would never happen. And so then we manage it for them. And, but see here, his mentality is, well, that's too much. I said, oh my God, you're going to pay cash. But this man, I was telling you that his property manager didn't do a good job. He's going to have it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's about 1,400 square feet. It's not very big, but it's got another property that we manage out for B&B's. Just a cute little studio. He's getting $1,750 for insurance or for a rent in the one house we're going to sell, but we're getting about 1,500. Oh, we're getting about 2,000 on the B&B. The house is going to go for 275. The rents are covered. You've got all of this. And so I know as soon as I get it on the market that it's going to go pretty fast, because our average here house is about 315, and that we don't count the beach stuff, but in town, that's very high for people who work here because our income. So the people that come in and buy those properties are retirees, because big military community and a Navy, actually everybody now. But it's interesting to see the different markets, because the California has that ability to invest and have a return over here versus the person who's here who has to get the mortgage or whatever the case may be. But yeah, we've got beautiful beaches and everything. So it's a good sale, a good
Yeah.
sell, I should say. This is awesome. I didn't really think I was going to get off to that part, but we will definitely
We'll
get
have
back
to
together.
touch
especially-
base on that. Especially for to get out of California, go find a landlord-friendly state.
A landlord-friendly state,
It's not
or
worth
an
it.
area, and an
Yeah.
area where you can actually get return on your investment.
Yeah,
That's the other thing, because when you look at it, we can still do it. And that's where it's been interesting. I think it was last year I sold about a dozen homes to people who had come in and stayed in my Airbnbs. And they go, how do we do this? I said, some will not be good with Airbnb. We'll go long-term rentals, because I do both. And so I can at least find the right investment product for them versus, oh, we're all going to do B&Bs, or we're all going to do kind of thing, or we're going to flip. We have some pretty good on that too.
Yeah, and they have banned short-term rentals in a lot of.
I know over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pensacola is a vacation rental town. Verbo's been here for 30 years before B&B, even Airbnb even came along. We've got the system and very friendly for that also in our community. So when you start thinking, get off of that just a little bit, I want to change thoughts a little bit. I know that you said you had some history or an international business. Now, being in California, how has that helped you in your business in that area? We don't have we're not Miami. Pensacola is not. So our international travel or international business is not as I guess you would say you probably have in your area. How has that helped and worked with your particular?
A lot. The cultures are just so different. To be honest, what I have found is Americans are the only people that pay full price for anything. We have a lot of Asian influence here moving into California, and their culture is so different. And I worked in Asia for 9 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Even in a regular store, you didn't pay full price. You would sometimes, like I bought jewelry in Malaysia, and I'd go 3 times, and the third day was the day they give me the good deal, and they expect it. That's the way they do business. So there's a lot of negotiating, a lot of and some people here take offense to it. I educate them right up front, but I just had an agent call me, and this is just their way of doing business. She called and she said, "Hey, the buyer, we're supposed to close tomorrow, and the buyer says they don't have the money in the bank, and they want us to reduce the commission." And so I got on, and she's yelling at, "I worked so hard. How can you do this to me?" And I go, "Calm down." And I said, "Sir, this is absolutely fine. If you don't have the money and want us to cut our commission, that is a breach of contract. So I'm afraid we're going to have to keep your deposit. We're going to go with the backup buyer. And you're also going to be responsible for the seller's expenses, because we've already done the staging and all
Everything.
And so I just very calmly, and he goes, and there's this silence. He goes, "I don't have the money." I go, "Your lender showed us your bank statements because you had to have that money to get approved for." He goes, "Okay, fine. I'll send my money tomorrow." And then that's fine. "And if you send it tomorrow, I'll be sure that you don't get a late fee." He goes, "Okay." As I educate clients up front, we're not going to do this. If I think that's their culture, don't try and make any changes toward the end of the contract, or you'll lose your deposit. We don't want you to lose your deposit. So I think educating them up front, but if that does happen in the end, and I've seen it happen to so many agents, and they give up their commission, or they cut the price, and I'm like, no, this is their
Right.
culture. This is their way of doing business. So don't treat it as an insult. Just, this is our way of doing business. That's your way of doing business. But I'm sorry, this is our contract. And I have never had had to give up commission or lower the price in the end ever when I explain it. And that's their culture. And you go to their country, they expect you to do that. They expect,
Right.
hey, we agreed on this price, but you know what? You're going to do this. That's just their way of doing business. So good for them. We don't do business that way. So we just have to calmly, not yell at them,
Yeah.
calmly say, this is how we do business. And it always works out. Just keep the tone calm and business.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
That brings up an experience that I had with a friend of mine. He referred me to this gentleman for a listing, and he was Chinese. He had bought the house. Oh my God, it was 5 years ago, basically at the height of the market when it was for. I think he paid $550 for it. It was dated, but then he turns around, throws it back on the market for $850 because he had a California mentality. He's from California, California mentality. And the agent who, for 2 years, he stayed with this gal at these crazy prices for this house. And so my friend said, do you think you could help him? I said, we're not listing it for that price. It took me a good 3 months to finally go, after 85 people have seen this house, because it really was that many open houses. I got a lot of buyers leads off of it. Let me tell you, it was a really good house for that purpose. But this is what we're facing. So I had to get with his financial advisor to say, it is not going to happen. We have got to put it at the price that it'll sell at. I know it's about the price that you paid for it, but it's been sitting here for 5 years empty. Never came, never tried to rent it out, just wanted to flip it big price. So I understand that as a Chinese man, he was trying to, the California mentality was in the back of his brain. And
Yeah.
as a businessman, he was saying, this is what I want. But we finally were able to do it. And that's the negotiating part of it. Was calm about the whole thing. I wasn't calm about the last guy I just had, but right. I don't know. Sometimes, what would be, can you think of one of the worst experiences you had on a closing? Just to share, we'll finish up here with, what's the worst closing you've ever had, or client, or something that just has happened to you in your real estate career?
We did have a house kitchen fire and burned down the day before closing.
Oh my gosh, that would be a
Yeah.
bad situation.
Yeah, that was bad. But other just little things showing. I don't show the home so much anymore. But I remember early in my career, it said vacant, knock, go direct, and you knock and you go in and you get up to the master bedroom and you hear the shower going and it breaks and you run out the door. So you never know what you're going to walk into. But like an agent was on the phone the other day, and one of my agents, and she goes, because the house has been vacant a while and there's been some legal issues and scary. And she goes, the lock won't work, I think. And someone cut the chain. And she's walking in the door. I go, yell hello really loud first. So we haven't had anything bad happen, but I don't like my agents going alone. I don't like them.
No, I know.
Open
Yeah.
houses. We had one where a guy asked me all the questions before seeing the house. Is it vacant? Has anyone lived there? Just all these kind of questions. And so I have a son who's 6'6". I sent him over there with the agent. I said, just pretend like you're cleaning the floor. And because I just didn't want her there alone. And afterwards, they called laughing. They said the guy was just a techie, high tech guy.
Very.
5'2". We could have hit him with the high heel. I was nothing, but I just protect my agents, and you just never know.
In this climate, and a very good friend of mine was killed by someone while she was with real estate appointment, and you just never know. And she was very seasoned and everything, and it happened. And that's what I do with my clients, especially my younger agents. Oh no, I've had some of the ladies, no, and I'm gone. So there's 2 women going, but it's the guys, one of the nicest guys we've ever met, kind of thing, from a safety perspective. So we do encourage that too, not being by yourself. What's one of the best closings, the best clients? What is one of the best people you've ever worked with, or something like that you can share with the ladies here?
I tell this story all the time because I think that buyer presentations are really important. So we have a beautiful packet together We'll do a PowerPoint presentation. Why do we do listing appointments and not buyers?
About buyers.
Buyer
Yep.
presentation. So this woman called, I think it was a Zillow lead, and came to the house. I met her there and I had my packet and all. And she just walked in the house and said, I don't like this. And this isn't what I wanted. I wanted an ocean. Never said she wanted ocean view, and went to her car. I raced after her, knocked on her car window, and I said, I put this packet together for you. Would you please at least look at it? She called me the next day and said, no one's ever given me this packet. Ended up selling her a $3.5 million home. However, it had to all align with feng shui. I had to get the address changed.
Oh, man.
At a certain date, the dollar amount had to be. But I got that done. She referred her next door neighbor to me, who I sold 2 $5 million homes to, and then sold his child a home, and then he referred his friends. So from just knocking on that woman's window, I've made well over $500,000 in commissions from that one little, hey, I did this for you. Don't run away from me. So I tell them these buyer presentations are so important. I had another one. I did it on the hood of a car because we couldn't get the agent away from us. So I did. And he said, we've been looking for a house for 3 years. No one has ever done this. We met with hundreds of agents. Can I hire you on a retainer? And I said, you don't need to do that. But when someone says, can I hire you on retainer? You've done a good job. Ended up selling him a $3 million house. We're still in touch. He refers people to you. So I think we have lots of great stories, but I think as a tip to other agents out there, take your buyer presentation just as important as your listing presentation, because
I totally agree with you. My very first sale I ever made, we're friends. And not only did they buy the house and Hurricane Ivan destroyed it, so we had to buy another house. And then the kids grew up, they bought houses, and now they don't live here anymore, but I go to their weddings and their birth. It's that referral base and watching the family and the children grow. And now the kids, the grandkids, it's, oh my God, now they're 15. It's been a long time. But to see that, I know, you just never know.
And that particular Gary Keller gave me a good tip. They go, when a client tells you how great you are, say, put me in your will. So when you pass away, your kids know who to call. And sure enough, he did. And his lawyer called me and said, and I already knew he'd passed away because I went to his memorial service, but sure enough, the lawyer called me and said, you were left in his will to sell the house. And so we'll be
that is a great, I never even thought about that.
We tell people, I have one lady, she wants to leave everything to a cat foundation. And I'm like, okay, but make sure I'm your realtor so I can make sure that happens. Put me in your trust. And have especially the senior people. If you think I'm that great, then put me in your trust.
No, and if they don't have family or, exactly. And so wherever that's going to. How can the ladies that have been listening to us today, how can they get in touch with you for referrals to find out more about your business? And let's do business over in Huntington Beach. But how can we contact you?
Yeah, so the best way really is text or phone, because I do get 1,200 emails a day. My assistant helps too. But texting is great. And my number is 714-717-1728. And all those lucky sevens have done me very well, I'll tell you.
I was just going to mention something about that. And because you're over in the California area, we can, from our standpoint, way over here in Pensacola, we are going to talk about what we can do for referrals back and forth, because your people will really go, what? And actually have a positive cash flow. And I want to thank you again for joining me. And come see me in Pensacola and see our beautiful beaches. And I always open up to anybody that I talk with. I got B&Bs. We can put you up over here. I thank you very much again. Hold on for just a sec. I want to get us out of here, and then we're going to finish up real quick. And thank you very much for joining us at Sip, Sell, Repeat, and for having Cheryl join us today. If you're inspired by these powerful women in real estate, you'll want to catch the next conversation. Click the video on screen to keep sipping, selling, and leveling up your game.